Update. Am I the a-hole if I report my coworker for making TikToks about me? Original post. I'll use fake names to avoid any more drama. I work with a younger girl. Let's call her Carla. We work in healthcare. Since she started, there's always been some sort of tension, and I never really understood why. For context, I had knee surgery a little while back, and I've had certain restrictions after returning to work. I genuinely wasn't aware that this was causing any issues because no one has mentioned it. They knew I was out for a couple of months, but that was it. I didn't really feel like I needed to clarify with my coworkers why I was out for that time. I got home from work and was doom scrolling on TikTok when one of her videos popped up. She was talking about how everyone hates me, how I'm just lazy, and how they're all going to slash the bitch's tires, me being that B. I wouldn't have even known it was about me if the caption hadn't said, and her name rhymes with, and essentially spelled out my name. I'm the only one with a name that could possibly rhyme with the spelling she used. I spent the last hour crying, and I honestly don't want to go to work tomorrow. I feel like I'm a genuinely nice person. I don't go out of my way to hurt anyone, and I've never had any issues like this before. My mom was in nursing for 2 decades, so I asked her what she thought, and she told me I'm being too sensitive and that I should just suck it up and let it go. It's difficult for me because Carla also has a video up that shows the back of my car with my license plate fully visible. Obviously, I looked at her profile after the fact. It's just not sitting right with me, and I don't feel like I'm overreacting. I work too hard and try too hard to be treated like this. I guess if it were said to my face, I could respect it more. But having it online for strangers to join in really bothers me. I feel like I'm in high school all over again. Am I the a-hole for reporting her? She'll probably lose her job, and that also bothers me. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. If you're fully honest about what she did and she loses her job, that's the consequence of her own actions. I wish I were lying. Well then, she is about to learn a valuable lesson about not being an a-hole. Save the videos in case they do slash the tires or anything happens to you or your property. I saved the videos and screenshotted in case she deletes them. Not the a-hole. Report her. That is insane behavior for an adult, and I would say she's acting like a kid. But I've never met any kids this bad. Show her that her actions have consequences. It definitely felt like a shock to the system, just reading the way she was talking about me. I was bullied relentlessly in high school, but no one ever said anything like that directly to me. I know she probably thought I'd never see the video, but gosh. I used to be bullied really badly too, but that taught me to be truthful, stern, and a narc. People aren't as rude anymore, at least not to my face, because I stood up to them and told adults their behavior wasn't okay. It sounds like something out of a coming-of-age movie, but it works surprisingly well. It's been so long since I felt like I had to really speak up for myself. I just thought women my age and her age had moved past treating each other like that. It's so discouraging. Now for the update you've all been waiting for. I reported her the next morning after emailing my supervisor. My supervisor went to HR with me. Unfortunately, I wasn't the first person she had done something similar to. Fortunately for me, her having several reports against her for the same behavior made it easier. So anyway, I reported her the next day, and she was fired today. They pulled her into the office, made her watch her TikToks, and then let her go. I got the satisfaction of watching her get escorted out by security, and her work besties were all smiles all day. No one treated me weird or anything. It was a very good day. Thank you to everyone who knocked some sense into me and helped me stand up for myself. I needed that backbone, and I'll be working on that moving forward. She also deleted her entire TikTok. We beat the bully this time. Good for you and everyone else who reported her. While it's one thing to engage in gossip at a job, even though that's pretty tacky, it's another to post gossip and dox people on social media. I agree. I thought about it all night, and I realized I genuinely wouldn't have cared had she, 1, not mentioned my name, making it obvious it was about me, and 2, not posted the back of my car with my license plate visible. It's one thing to just not like me. I couldn't care less. But it's another to outright degrade me on the internet, thinking I'd never see it. I just read the original, and honestly, your mom is wrong. She's from an era where it was just accepted to crap on the younger nurses. I'm glad you spoke up for yourself and everyone else she victimized. I agree. She hasn't spoken to me since I told her I was going through with reporting, and I think that may be for the best. Times have changed, and healthcare, or really any job, is no place for bullying, ever. A lot of people made really good points that drove this home for me. People asked me if I would want her taking care of me or my family knowing she is the way she is. And honestly, no, I wouldn't. Hopefully my mom wakes up and realizes I wasn't wrong, but if she doesn't, I guess it's not too big of a loss. I don't know your mom, but based on her stance alone, she sounds like a nasty old bully, and I hope she's not still working with patients. It sounds like she may have been one of the people making those nasty comments back in the day and took you standing up for yourself personally. Or she was bullied herself and is jealous you had the guts to speak up when she didn't. Either way, good on you. Knowing my mom, she was the bully 100%. Thankfully, she hasn't worked with patients for a while, but it's still definitely worrisome. It makes me wonder if she treated people, or even patients, badly. It's just disheartening. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to take a government job just so my family can keep their house? I'm 19. My dad works a senior government job, and our family lives in an official government house. When he retires, we're supposed to move out. We don't own any other house. Because of that, my family wants me to join government service at a lower scale, so they can try to get the house transferred or reallotted under my name. The thing is, I recently found out that if I do that, the house would be directly tied to my job. If I ever quit, resign, or get transferred, we'd lose the house again. I don't actually want a government job. I'm not interested in that career path at all. The main reason they want me to do it is just so the housing issue is delayed or handled. I feel like once I take the job, I'll never be able to leave because the moment I do, it becomes, you made us homeless. I have siblings, including older ones, but for some reason the pressure is mostly on me. I get why my family is scared, but I also feel like I'm being asked to lock myself into something for life at 19 out of guilt. I haven't outright refused yet, but I feel really uncomfortable and trapped just thinking about it. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to take a job knowing I'd basically be stuck forever because of the house? But for some reason the pressure is mostly on me. Are you the youngest? If so, it's their last chance to make it happen. It could be they already tried this with your siblings and failed. Not the a-hole. Hopefully you are already looking into other living arrangements. This is just not a healthy dynamic. I'm not the youngest. I have 2 older siblings and 2 younger ones. My older siblings are almost done with their bachelor's degrees, and I literally just started university. I also already earn and contribute financially, but the bigger issue is that money doesn't really get saved, so the housing situation keeps staying the same. That's part of why this scares me. It feels like the solution is being pushed onto me, instead of fixing the actual problem. I get why everyone's stressed, but I don't think locking one person into a job for life is a healthy way to deal with it either. Not the a-hole. Your parents' lack of planning is not your emergency, nor is it your responsibility to solve for them. Do not clip your own wings, sacrificing your future, because they didn't think this all through. What would happen if you get married? Came here to say this. OP, imagine down the road if you meet somebody and want to get married, and then you have to explain to them that the only way the 2 of you can have a house is if your fiancé moves in with your parents, and that you'd have to raise your kids with your parents in the house. It's true that lots of cultures are fine with multi-generational homes, but you would be tying yourself to that scenario without knowing what your future holds. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my mother-in-law stay with us after she became homeless? I, 36 female, have been married to my husband, 37 male, for 8 years, and we have 2 young children. My relationship with my mother-in-law has been strained for a long time due to repeated boundary violations, public conflicts, and a lack of accountability on her part. I'm asking because I'm being made to feel like I'm heartless for saying no, and I need an outside perspective. Here are some examples that have led to our strained relationship. Leading up to our wedding, she created drama around nearly every event. During our stag and doe, she accused my father of stealing from us. At the wedding itself, she wore a very light pink, almost white jumpsuit, became heavily intoxicated, and went around the hotel banging on doors trying to keep the party going. While I was pregnant, she texted me saying I shouldn't use pregnancy as an excuse to be lazy because my husband was doing laundry. At the time, we lived on the top floor of a triplex, and he didn't want me carrying heavy loads up multiple flights of stairs. When I was in labor with my daughter, she showed up uninvited and waited at the hospital until the baby was born. Afterward, she posted on Facebook claiming she wasn't allowed to hold her granddaughter, even though my husband hadn't held her yet and she never asked. She also criticized me for not wanting to breastfeed long-term, despite the fact that I did breastfeed for 3 months as planned. She has insulted me directly in the past, including calling me an overeducated idiot. She has also lashed out over minor issues, such as offering us furniture, being told politely that we didn't have space, and then accusing us of being ungrateful. When my son was born during COVID, no visitors were allowed, and I was seriously ill in the days after his birth, not COVID. Without asking, she told my husband she planned to stay at our house for a week. When he said no, she went on Facebook again, saying we were keeping her from her grandson, and that the parents think they know best. She also contacted my father directly to accuse him of emotionally harming my daughter. Because of this behavior, my husband decided not to allow her to see our son until Christmas that year. A consistent issue throughout all of this is that she never takes accountability. She believes everyone is out to get her, and that every conflict is someone else's fault. She regularly portrays herself as the victim and refuses to acknowledge how her behavior affects others. She also struggles with alcoholism, which has contributed to many of these situations and the breakdown of her relationships. Over time, she has pushed away most of the people in her life. We have tried over the years to get her help with her addiction, but have come to realize that she needs to want the help in the first place. The final straw for me came on Mother's Day 2022, when she emailed me saying she knew I didn't like her and told me not to believe my husband, claiming he was dishonest. At the time, she had blocked him because he refused to give her money. After that, I cut contact for my own mental health and have not had a relationship with her since. Now to the current issue. Recently, she set fire to her apartment and was evicted. She had an opportunity to regain her housing if she dropped a lawsuit against the building, but she believed she would win and refused. Why she had a lawsuit with the building when the fire was her own fault, I have no idea. She lost the case and is now homeless and staying in a shelter. My husband wants to let her stay with us. I have said no because I believe it would destroy our marriage. I would not feel safe or comfortable in my own home, and based on her history, she would not respect boundaries, and we would never be able to get her to leave and find her own place. Even her own daughter, my sister-in-law, has refused to take her in. I feel empathy for her situation, but I also feel that her homelessness is the result of long-term behavior, poor decisions, and refusal to accept responsibility. I don't believe it's fair to sacrifice my marriage, my mental health, or my children's stability to fix a situation she continues to create. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my mother-in-law stay with us? Edit. I realized I may have been a bit vague when I stated she set fire to her apartment. To my knowledge, it was not intentional, but it was extremely negligent. She was making candles on her stovetop and left them unattended to go to the apartment building's common area in the middle of the night. When she returned, her apartment was filled with fire and smoke. Not the a-hole. Seems you're trying to protect your marriage and family. Your husband needs to respect that. Have you reminded him of all she's done? Not just marriage and family, but home. She set fire to her last place. Why would you bring her in? That's exactly my point. I don't want to risk her destroying my home as well. I have children and beloved pets to consider the safety of. Not the a-hole, and die on this hill. You sound so reasonable. I can't imagine how your husband can see it any other way. Why would you invite utter chaos into your home? Why would you ruin your home and lives for her? Does he struggle with guilt? It's not his fault, and he can't fix her. He can only ruin what you have together. I hope your husband can get some help to understand this. You nailed it. My husband does struggle with guilt, and I do try to help him through it. He doesn't owe her anything, just like my children don't owe me anything. Tell him that he'd have the guilt of his marriage being over because he refused to put you and the kids before her. Last story. Am I the a-hole for yelling at my wife after she forgot that I'm on the roof? We're constructing a house. Labor is very expensive, so we're doing some doable things ourselves. It's almost complete and livable, just the final phase. Today I was putting up some Christmas lights on all sides of the roof boundary. We were alone, so I climbed the ladder and she held it from below to keep it steady. I predicted it would take at least an hour, so obviously she didn't have to hold the ladder or be present at the site until I needed her to hold it again when I came down. She has this weird habit of keeping her phone on silent because she generally gets 2 to 3 calls a day, and those are usually at fixed times, so she likes her phone on silent the rest of the time. Before climbing, I specifically told her not to put her phone on silent and to make sure to pick up my call because I would call her to hold the ladder when I came down. It would be very awkward to call her by name loudly from the top because it's a very calm neighborhood. We're new, and I'm an introvert. After the work was done, I called her 20 times, but she didn't answer. I shouted her name 5 times, but there was no answer. I was stuck there for 30 to 35 minutes, stressed in the winter, and it was getting dark, which made it worse and more tense. The height was high enough that I could not jump down. She finally came after 35 minutes with a stupidly smiling face and held the ladder, as if it was meant to be funny. She told me that she fell asleep and forgot to turn off silent mode. I yelled at her in frustration, and she got upset. Am I the a-hole? I was hurt mainly because it hinted at how unimportant my well-being is to her. A similar thing happened in the past with the door key of our previous place. We were living there, and I was stuck outside for hours. That's another story. I'm on pins and needles anytime my husband is on the roof. I can't imagine taking a nap and generally not giving a damn. Not the a-hole. The few times my husband's been on the roof, I hang around at the bottom, delusionally acting like I could catch him if he falls. Same with my stepdad. We have an indoor ladder with 3 steps, and I'm gripping it with white knuckles because it's the only thing I can do to help ensure he doesn't fall while hanging ornaments on the top of the tree. What if OP had fallen off the roof? What if he'd slipped, sprained an ankle, gotten a piece of wood or metal staked through his hand, popped a knee, whatever? She would have been unreachable. And if he'd injured himself and gone unconscious, she'd never know. She never checked on him periodically to see how he was. Not the a-hole. Not even a little bit. She knew you were on the roof and she took a nap? And she thinks it's funny when she comes with the ladder? Does this woman even like you? How heavily insured are you? That's creepy AF. I would never go to sleep knowing my husband was on the roof. Honestly, I'm not sure I would even go inside. If I did, I would have been listening and made sure he was safe the entire time. All she needed to do was make sure he could get back down when the time came. I have severe ADHD and lose or forget things all the time. This is not something I could have forgotten.